Sorry to hijack, but yeah, I'm very happy with what's going on with this new exciter setup. W2BTK 3873 on your AM dial.
No, you didn't hijack anything. I can talk for hours on this topic. But Brent, now that brings up a question. You had just you said you had gotten a new equalizer. Does that have a low cut filter? Does it have something where you can roll off things under 50 cycles? Because when you keyed up, I didn't hear the helicopter, but your voice was like, it had sort of like an underwater sound, and that would address that nicely.
As a matter of fact, there's the low cut, and oh my God, that's brutal with the low cut. There's a helicopter outside. And it's overwhelming. Yeah, that's without the low cut. Man, he's close too, wherever this is coming from. He's hovering over the property somewhere.
Was that low cut or high cut? That didn't sound right, because all your highs went away.
Yeah, oh wait a minute, dumbass. I hit the wrong button. Alright, that's the low cut. I'm sorry. I bypassed the equalizer entirely. That's the low cut in there, over.
You know, like anything, leave it like that for a while and see if that helicopter comes buzzing by again. See what the effect is. See if there's a difference. But I think that'll help a lot. I mean, no one's going to hear it in your voice, but it will get rid of rumble.
That's a good point. Yeah, the helicopter's still out there. Let me check something. Hang on, guys. Isn't that the helicopter? My wife turned on the damn dryer.
Well, I mean, stuff was spinning around.
I swear to God, it sounded like a helicopter, and it was that low frequency was rumbling through the desk. And yeah, there's a low cut, really takes away from the bottom. Let me take it out for a second. Oh my God. Yeah, it eats up a lot of audio. That energy, I can see it on the scope. Alright, so low cuts in. Get rid of the dryer rumble. And I still have some low-end components there, but maybe not as down in the 20 hertz and lower range.
Well, the other possibility is, I mean, if you have enough bands on that equalizer, you can just drop the really low stuff down.
Yeah, I got a little smiley curve at 20, 25, 21, comes up to 40, 50, 63, and then begins to drop at 63, the 80 hertz, and then down a cut at 160.
Oh, well, you sure don't need 20 and 40 or 60 boosted, that's for sure.
Well, let me take it completely out. Alright. There's the 20, 25, 31, I'm sorry, 31 and a half completely gone.
Well, that sounds clean to me, and interestingly, the more lows you get rid of, the more, I hate saying this, positive peaks you'll get, but it's true.
No. Plus, yeah, I would roll it at 50. You don't have anything in your voice at lower than 50.
Alright, let me do this without the low cut in. Hang on. Alright, let me take 50 completely out. Testing 1, 2. I think you guys have nailed it. I got a bump. Let me take 50 all the way out. Testing 1, 2. And interesting. Yeah, I completely dropped it, and what I'm hearing is more energy simply because we degained those bottom end stages,
which require a lot of power to amplify as well.
Yeah, you're right. What do you think though? 63. Let me run that flat at 63, 80, and 125 is degained, 160 is degained by a few dB. All right. Now the question is, does that sound pretty good? I don't even have the low cut in right now.
Sounds almost the same. I mean, your voice doesn't have any information down there, so all you're doing, cutting that crap, is preventing room noise and rumbles and stuff from being amplified through your setup there, Just keeping it all voice. It didn't change, man. Maybe like in the noise, if I jacked up my speakers and like really listened to your noise floor, I might notice a change in frequency response of like just the ambient room noise floor might knock out some like real low stuff, but it's so down there anyway. It's just like best practice at this point, No,
I appreciate it, and I can tell already that by de-gaining those bottom end frequencies, they were wasted energy. So let me go a little further. I just took out 63. Here's 80. I lose it right there. All right, so 80 is going to come back up, and so we'll leave it, with a little gain at 80 hertz, because once I dump it at 80, you can hear it right away.
Yeah, I heard that at 80 for sure. Even at 63, a tiny, tiny, tiny little bit. Not really noticeable in the grand scope. So, yeah, you got it. 50 hertz high pass filter for Brent. I used to do that in the nightclubs and crap. I'd have bands on the stage. You get bleed from the kick drum and all kinds of crap. I'd high pass them at like, 100. Because especially if it's a female singer, because I had so much going on in those frequencies down there, the bass guitar and kick drum and all that stuff. I just high pass that crap, get rid of a lot of crap coming through that PA,
Yeah, W1IA, thank you. No, really, Clark and Billy, that made a huge difference, and now I have it really increased the gain of the mids and picked up more gain in that part of the spectrum. And Clark, you're right, man. We talked about this the other day, and it sounds cleaner.
I prefer the, there's guys that sound good with like boom, boom, boom bass in their voice, but I prefer natural. You nailed it.
He likes that commando sound.
Yeah, big ball hanging dangly sound.
Well, I mean, you can tell the ops who first thing they do is they take the whole bottom part of their equalizer and they push it all the way up, and it's like, hey, I'm a radio guy. And meanwhile, they're hard to understand. And they come across sounding like, wow, okay, we know what you want to do, but it's coming across kind of laughable at our listening end. So, yeah, things like that need to be done very judiciously. Hey, this whole EQ, my entire equalizer, 2 resistors and a capacitor. I don't even have an equalizer. Just that.
Yeah, well, it just proves this will be fun. Yeah, here we go. Let's do this. Yay. And let's push up. We'll get rid of the 160. Yay. That adds a lot of bass without the sub-audibles. That's probably very unnatural, but that's just what you were describing.
It feels like my ears need to pop.
Now with the artificial bottom end.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. That sounded bad. Dude, this fancy-ass processor I got has the same thing. It's got, like, some kind of, like, super bass thing you can turn on, and it just sucks. It all sucks. Except, I'm still tickled by the fact that right now on the air, I have a $35 Amazon LNA on the air right now. Great.
Another consideration is that, again,
I put it back
what
to
people are listening
where it
to
was.
unless people are having, a sound
more of the
system
100
with a good
hertz
amp, and subwoofers and all that, they're not going to hear that. And if they can't reproduce those sounds, your modulation is going to drop. To them, you're actually going to, be a lot weaker, because your compressor is going to be operating on the loudest signal across the entire audio spectrum. So if you really crank up the highs, if you really crank up the lows, and those frequencies cause your compressor to attenuate more to keep things, within the modulation envelope, and those frequencies cannot be replicated on the receiver end, you disappear. You end up knocking holes in your signal.
Well, that's only if you have like one of those old, ancient analog wideband compressors. Nowadays, we have like good digital multiband compressors, and that's not a problem.
What was happening yesterday, before I realized the RF problem, I had the threshold set so tight. Everybody was saying you just don't have the loudness there. So I reset the threshold to +5 instead. This is what was happening. This is where I had it set yesterday. I got no audio. And just by putting it back to +5 threshold, then I got the in-your-face sound back.
Yeah, you squash that dynamic range and bring it all up front. That's the name of the game. It works on AM, on radio. Squash crap. I'm squashing my crap right now.
Yeah, but it looks great if you're a watt watcher and you're looking at your your power meter, but the problem is that's not what people are listening to you with. They're listening to you with your ears. Just get into human physiology. Your brain is listening for verbal cues. If you end up having too much of compressed audio, if it's just like the asthma sound, every time you breathe in it's full modulation, it actually makes it harder for people to understand you. Because again, oh yeah, but look at all the wattage. Yeah, right. It doesn't matter. The radios and the watt meters aren't doing the listening. People are doing the listening, and until people's hearing can change, you're going to be subject to. You spend all your human being time that you're not on the radio having your brain interpret sounds based on both what the sounds are and also from cues like dynamic range cues. You get rid of all of that. I mean, you need to keep the average up, but you start getting rid of some of the dynamic cues, the level change cues, and it actually makes it harder for people to understand what you're saying. So it can work against you.
That's a good point. Make sure I got it. Well, I know one of the issues was setting the threshold and then changing the overall output gain as a balancing act, and Steve was discussing, well, I run, so much compression, the release time is set slow, the ratio is all the way up, and I took his cues, but one of the things that, two transmitters might be slightly different, and now, it's just adjusting the output gain. But you're right, the dynamic range, you have to have a little bit of compression in there to control it, but not so much that I get rid of the overall level. So you kind of nailed that topic, Clark. But just by doing what you suggested made a huge difference. I'm not wasting energy on all that rumbly crap that doesn't do anything for the transmitted receivers on the other end.
Another good point, Clark, is like you squash it too. And I don't think anyone that talks out here has that that much compression. But anyway, you squash it that much, and then you have to take into consideration most people jack their AGCs too to make everyone sound all loud. And when nobody's keyed up, it's like. So that you get all that compression too on top of it, and that's what gives it that it's a number of things. But like I'm saying, I don't think anyone out here has that problem. Everybody's knows how to make good sounding AM and use compression correctly. I mean, if I talk really quiet like this, I only get a little bit of modulation. But if I yell, then there's dynamic range there. W2BTK.
Cute. The people who do the asthma sound, I've heard mostly it's a sideband thing. Because again, look at what they're judging their audio on. If you're a sidebander, you're not really looking at a carrier meter. You're certainly not looking at a modulation monitor, because neither of those things really work on sideband. But you are looking at your PP meter, as Don K4KYV calls it. And so when they see it, oh look, even when I'm not speaking, it's really 1500 watts. That's awesome, and they think they're ready to just jizz all over themselves with excitement. But the reality, like hell. But they don't know that because they don't hear themselves. Just people are, they're like, how do I sound? And people are like, wow, it's really in your face. And they take it as like, oh, that's a compliment. Well, anyway, but some of these guys are like into DXing, and that's funny too, because that excessive compression stuff isn't going to work with DXing either. Again, people who are, in Europe and other distant lands, they're still using their ears to listen to you. So, too much compression really, there's like an optimal amount. You want to have your average up there, but you don't want to have it so that there's no dynamic range, because every word that somebody says, the person who's listening is you know what the words sound like, but you know what the words sound like because you hear somebody, saying these things in a room. And so it has a natural, ADSR, Bill, you're all about the whole music stuff, attack, delay, sustain, and release. Every sound has got those characteristics to it. If you start screwing with that too much, if you start changing that pattern of volume, of how different sounds sound, then I think it throws people off. And there have been studies on this stuff too. If you read some of the papers written, and it's binders full. It's not just like a pamphlet. It's like binders full from Orban, for example, on the effects of audio processing. These guys have to get it right, and they've had decades to do it. Orban's been around since the 70s, and their business is to create effective modulation processing equipment, for broadcasters. And they go into tremendous detail talking about why every single thing in their processors do what it does. And it's based on listening tests. It's based on real world stuff. And if they're wrong, their company is toast. So they have to be right. So that's, the stuff I'm talking about is a lot of that comes from having read those binders. Because I think that these guys write this stuff, again, because it really, really matters. Why reinvent the wheel here on Amateur Radio? N1BCG.
I'll drink to that.
Well, Mike Raid Processing 101 is a great tutorial on processing. And yeah, Orban, good God, man, those things... that would be the Maserati of processors if you could afford one. But with some rudimentary equipment, let's face it, this stuff is just relatively low end. But if you can get it adjusted properly, I think you have a glimmer of hope. We're not professionals. And but I've gotten extensive help between yourself and Steve. And first of all, it was the engineering part of it where I screwed up. But after that was done, now I'm listening to, the other topic was bone conduction. And Chris, up in Deering, New Hampshire, RGW, made some phenomenal recordings with an Anon, and it was set for flat. And I noticed immediately the 2K nasally crap was in there. I degained that, and finally came to the conclusion that you don't try equalizing anything when you have an RF problem. Duh. So now we're into that, I think it's in the sweet spot, but just by getting rid of that energy that was unnecessary, that was a big plus. And thank you again. Go ahead, Bill.
Oh, yeah. That's an old trick. I knew about stuff like that before I even started messing with radios. Before I was even on the CB, messing with PA systems. So, yeah, ADSR, I mean, yeah. You need all that voice formant, dynamic range, this and that. It's not just the words, you can kind of tune out and not even hear the words and know when somebody's coming to the end of a sentence, or know when somebody's asking you a question and you need to respond. And you can not even hear what they said, but just through the dynamic range of their voice, the formant, this and that, that you were just asked a question. So that's very helpful. And that information goes out the window, too much compression. I think that's the bottom line. And it sucks. But, that's the whole other thing. It's like ham radio. Like, you guys, what do you need to sound like a broadcast station for? Like, it's just, as long as you can get the message across, like, it should sound crappy, Like, I don't know. It's all that discussion, too. But, no, you're right, Clark. Totally right. Too much compression screws everything up. It's fatiguing, too. You can't listen to it for a long time. So, yeah, don't do it. Give yourself some headroom. I'm watching you guys on the VU meter, and the average level is pretty within a few dB, but there's still, it's not audio sausage. So I don't know. That's what I got. That's all I have to say about that. W2BTK.
Audio sausage. All right, you got me to laugh there, Billy. I've got 2 fun facts for you guys. Here's some fun trivia, which maybe you knew, maybe you didn't, but I felt it's time to bring it up. First, did you know, because Brent, you brought up bone conduction. Yes, that's a big deal. Setting your audio while listening to headphones, very tricky. Get this. If you want to make sure your headphones are phased correctly, they have to be out of phase. What? Let's say you have a real high quality microphone which is built correctly, meaning that pin 2 on the XLR connector really goes positive in relationship to pin 3 when there's positive pressure on the diaphragm of the microphone. So, I mean, it's supposed to be that way, but, sometimes mics aren't wired right. But let's say that that's the case. You have an amplifier which is true to polarity, meaning a positive voltage on the input will result in a positive voltage on the output. And then you plug in headphones to the output where a positive voltage on tip or ring will provide a positive air pressure, meaning the speakers will push out when there's a positive voltage on those 2 pins. If you do that, if you put the headphones on and talk to the microphone, you're going to hear cancellation effects. Why is that? Because look at how you're hearing stuff. When you talk, as Brent said, bone conduction, you're getting the audio conducted through your jaw technically to the inside, the skull inside part of your eardrum, which means that same audio signal coming through headphones, if it were in the right phase, if it was in the right polarity, would be working against that, because it's now on the opposite side of your eardrum. So you actually have to reverse the phase of your headphones in order to hear yourself in the same polarity as the bone conduction. Okay, you guys are making faces. Here's the second fun trivia, and this is shorter. And that is, when you look at a mod monitor or an oscilloscope and you say, for your transmitted envelope, and you say, oh, good, my microphone's in phase. Yuri. Good, I'm getting positive peaks. I'm getting more positive peaks than negative peaks. That is only true for part of your vocal range, not for the whole thing. So it is typically the predominant vocal range, meaning the higher frequencies, like 1 kilohertz to 3 kilohertz, is what's causing that asymmetry. But the lower frequencies between about 100 and 300 hertz are opposite in polarity. Those will actually work against you. So if you were to look at a modulation monitor like Steve's, that shows you with whether you're positive leaning or negative leaning, you'll see that will rock back and forth on both sides of zero, because some vocal frequencies will be opposite. The lower will be opposite of the higher frequencies. So there you go, 2 fun facts for you. N1BCG.
That's this hobby. You can learn so much just by listening.
No. Clark, that's exactly why you don't use an all-pass filter. For exactly what you said, because it's different throughout the frequency range. You have to consider the vector sum of all frequencies when you do this. The all-pass filter just screws it all up.
Correct. And here's fun fact number 3, courtesy of BTK. An all-pass filter does do that. It's a phase rotator, which is designed to get rid of asymmetry. Why the hell would you want to do that? Well, picture this. If you have these excursions in peaks, so if you've got these negative peaks, which are excessive in the lower frequencies, let's say 300 hertz, and you've got these positive peaks, which are asymmetric in the 3 kilohertz range, and they're
use a multi-band limiter
of volume. How the hell does that happen?
Yeah.
If I have a compressor, it won't rob me. Yes, it will, because a compressor or a limiter is designed to look at the total waveform plus and minus combined. So if you have one side of that waveform which is dominant and it's not matched by an equal and opposite amplitude, then the compressor is going to unnecessarily reduce gain at that moment. And it's the recovery time of that compressor where you lose that volume. So you literally will have more compression. You'll have a higher average level of modulation simply by using a phase rotator, and even without a compressor or a limiter, because you're eliminating the excursions of peaks that would cause overmodulation otherwise. So without that asymmetry, you're now able to have a higher level of modulation, and it'll be more consistent.
Okay, Doc, but then we come to recent time, 2021, right? Multi-band compressor solves everything, and you can use it very transparently, and you doesn't have to screw up all of the phase relationships so that your voice waveform, you don't have to distort it all to crap like that. You just use multi-band dynamics processing, and it solves that issue, and I think it sounds way better. But that's just me. W2BTK.
What a modified French tickler.
The expression.
I was about to mention the discussion about phase
together would not be able to find a single.
And that's where the Orban and some of the real high-end stuff is better at handling that exact topic.
Wow, why is that?
About we started with bone conduction, but it applies.
We're doubling again.
Pretty fascinating discussion. I find it just amazing when you can do what you can do with a low-end gear, but I mean, that is something that I guess the Orban has. And what is the other equipment that's capable of dealing with the asymmetry issues with the audio spectrum? And you said 300 to 100 hertz is where it's pretty predominant?
Yeah, in the opposite direction of the more dominant polarity, which is what most people use to set the polarity of their mics for AM.
No, we're past that. What did you say, Clark, when you doubled with Brent?
Well, that was important, but I said neither you nor I or anybody on this frequency could locate a model broadcast processor made in the past 40 years that does not have an all-pass filter. It's like mandatory. They don't exist. It's just they determined that this improves your level. It improves your average level of modulation. It does not happen. AM or FM, they all have phase rotators built in. 40 years. Go back and see if you can find a broadcast processor that doesn't have it. You won't be able to find one. And that, folks, is because success leaves clues. It's like if none of them leave that out, there must be a real big reason why they've got them. It's competitiveness.
No, well, yeah, so, okay, you can improve your average modulation with the press of one button. But it sounds screwed up, man. It sounds totally effed up. It's not the right way to do it. It's a cheap way to do it for people who don't know what they're doing or don't want to mess around too much with multi-band dynamics processing. All you need is bandwidth, headroom, correct polarity, and multi-band dynamics processing to get around the issue that you said that the compressor is going to respond to the highest, peak, regardless of where it is. No, you divide it into bands and you run several compressors. That's it. That's it. And it sounds better. If you know what you're doing, you can set that up. And if you don't know what you're doing, then you get the thing with the phase scrambler, whatever, phase blaster, and you press your button and you get more modulation. But that's dumb stuff.
Multi-band processing does not fix that issue.
Of course it does.
Not at all. Let's say you've got one frequency that you're transmitting and it's asymmetric. So you don't even need a multi-band processor. You have just a single frequency where the positive amplitude, the positive going cycle is much higher than the negative going cycle. That compressor will act on the highest of the two peaks, which means that if you just look simply at the area, if you look at a graph and you look at the area represented by that waveform, that compressor is going to be acting on the higher of the two, which means that because there isn't a corresponding lower part of that cycle, that's audio you now don't have. It's not a matter of multiband processing. All these broadcast processors are multiband and they have phase rotators. And I know you don't like phase rotators because you say they sound like ass. You're right. If you wear headphones, that's bone conduction. If you record your voice through a phase rotator and put, if it has an in-out button, and you press that alternately, and you play that recording back through a loudspeaker, you won't hear a difference. But you will, when you run that through a compressor, you will be louder, because that compressor now will not be acting on excessively asymmetrical peaks, which what do compressors do when they act on peaks? They reduce gain. So they're going to be reducing gain less. If they reduce gain less, that means it's louder, right?
Clipping and phase scramblers sound like ass. W2BTK with the delay.
Well, Bob Orban and Orban Associates disagrees with you. I don't know. Who am I going to believe?
Just believe in yourself, Clark, and you'll go far. Who did I hear out there peanut gallerying? Was that Mikey or Phil, or who was that?
Mikey, what's up? It's on DX, and good afternoon or good evening, whatever it is.
Hi, Mikey.
Yeah, Clark.
Yes.
Yeah, hi Clark, WB2RON. I have a phase rotator in the Anon here, and I play around with it. I never listen to myself with headphones while I'm talking. I did it using making recordings using the external REA mod monitor. Steve has a record jack on that, and it makes wonderful recordings of my audio. When I set up the phase rotator in accordance with Rob's instructions, W1AEX, it was clear that, I had it set up right. When I make recordings and into my into my recorder, not listening to myself, but making a recording, and I switch between the phase rotator and I switch it off. It clearly sounds better with it off. When I have it on, it's got like a mechanical sound to it. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's a little louder. Now, I'm not using additional compression like you say you should use with the phase rotator, but it definitely changes the sound of my audio when it was not natural. It was, I even sent a recording of it to Eric at WB2CAU, and I said, what do you think? He agreed with me 100%. It sounded very mechanical with the phase rotator, but without it, it sounded more natural. I don't know, just my experience. Anyway, this is WB2RON. Go ahead, Clark.
Well, I think it would be very interesting to know how many poles the filter is. I'll give you some examples. CRL uses a 2-pole filter. Orban uses 8. There are others that use 4-pole. I don't know what is in the, did you say flex? So I think that may matter, and it also matters what rotation speed that they use, like, how much rotation you're trying to get out of each pole of the filter. But I'm not familiar with that. So if there are artifacts, it may just be an issue with the design of it.
Yeah, okay, hold on. I want to make sure I'm not doubling. Yeah, okay. I actually do put it on the air here. I still have it set up. Hold on 1 second. I haven't used this thing in a year. Hold on. I'm getting into the menu. Okay, I'm in the menu now, and I have it. Oh, no, it's set for 8 stages. Hold on a second. I got to go to 11. All right, I'm going to enable it here. I don't know if you're going to be able to tell any difference over the air. I've done this before and people have heard it and they said, yeah, there is some difference, but I'm going to go ahead and enable it right now. Okay, I've enabled it, and I believe it's set up correctly right here, because I remember I had to have it set for 11 stages. So I have it on right now, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it off, and now it's off. Now, I don't know if you're going to hear it. When I was listening to it, I was using headphones post-recorded, not while I was talking, obviously. And I'll go ahead and do the test one more time. It's still off right now, and now I've just enabled it. So the phase rotator is on right now, and I believe it is set for my voice, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it off, and it's off right now. So I don't know if that was audible or not, but it says here 11 stages, frequency 338, which is where it's preset. This is an Anon 7000 that I'm on. They don't have a phase rotator in the Flex software. So, I don't know. I don't know if you heard anything there, Clark. Go ahead.
I mean, there was a difference, but the thing is there's going to be a difference because the compression that follows that, I think, is, I don't know how the Anon is set up, is going to react differently to it. Do you know where that is? Usually phase rotators have to be the first thing. Like, they don't work right if they're after any kind of equalization or compression.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. And I don't know. It is in the manual. It shows you where it is. I'll have to look at that later because this is on the same screen where the multiband compressor is. I am using a little bit of multiband compression, more at the high frequencies, just a little bit. So I got your point before what you were talking about, and that made sense. So I'm going to go ahead and research that myself. I do have the information. I just never paid much attention to it. So anyway, just my 2 cents, Clark. Anyway, to me, I didn't set it up trying to use a lot of compression after it to see, like what you were talking about, the way you would take advantage of it. But anyway, it sounded really good without it, so I just leave it off.
Here's how I feel about it. I could hear when you turned it on, and it sounded like, I don't know. It didn't really. You got a little bit of more density with that thing on, but it's like it sounded kind of weird. Like, I think that if you just used a good precision multi-band compressor, you could get the same audio density, like the same benefit basically, and like not screw up your audio so much. That's just how I feel about it.
Wait a minute. At the beginning of what you said you didn't hear much difference, and then you said screw up your audio so much. It's, Ron, the other question here is when you turn a phase rotator on and off, other things have to change also. So if you're literally just doing that, I mean, I don't know if that's going to be a proper test, because the entire system has to be set up for a configuration.
Right, and that's what I was getting at. I kind of said that I have not optimized. Hold on. Okay, I have not optimized my compression or anything like that after. Let me get this mic up to my voice face here. After turning the phase rotator on, it's just switching it on and off. So, your point is well taken that, no, I haven't done any further adjustments. I've only listened to see what the initial effect is of switching it on, and I think that's Billy in there. He's hearing what I hear, and that it is making a change, but it didn't sound like it was for the better. It was more dense, but not. It changed the tone characteristic of the audio, which is what bothered me. So, if I guess I would have to experiment with it further to see. But, I just don't have that kind of ear for this, to be able to, I mean, I hear you, I don't know. I don't know if, even using my monitor, that if I made changes, if I could say, yeah, it's better or not. I mean, I hear the subtle differences, but sometimes these changes are so subtle that I don't know if they're going to be even audible going out over the air.
I agree. Well, yeah, same thing. I just think, and Clark, it's not like screwed up the audio so much. What I'm saying is that you multi-band dynamics, right? You're just playing with amplitudes. That's it. You're not changing the timbre of anything. It's just amplitudes that you're playing with. Not this phase scrambling stuff. You're like heavily well, I could say distorting or modifying or whatever. Like you're changing big drastic things about the waveform, the original information, phase relationships and stuff. It's like you don't have to do that. I think it sounds better if you just use good compression, multi-band compression to achieve your bump in density and maintain the way the thing originally sounded a little better.
Well, let's talk about multiband processing since you brought up phase relationships. If you look at a multiband processor, what is it? It's basically a multiband equalizer where each one of those sliders has a gain limiter on it. So as you're talking, every one of those bands on that equalizer are now sliding up and down to conform to the audio that you're feeding it. This is why there's no such thing as a multi-band voice processor. That doesn't exist. If you look at all the high-end studio voice processors, they're all wideband, because multi-band compression creates artifacts when you have things like voice. For example, again, going back to broadcast processors. I know it sounds like I'm just going on and on about this, but it's like they already have this figured out. That's all they do. This is their business. They've got to be right. So it's kind of like they've saved us a lot of time by putting their money and research into this, so we don't have to. We can just do what they do and we're good. But when you, for example, whether you have an Omnia, which is a major manufacturer of broadcast processors, or Orban, which is probably number one, when you go through the presets on those, like you're an engineer for a radio station, you get this thing, you have no idea how to set it up. They've got presets, to make things easy. They said is it like, heavy music, light music, classical, jazz, talk, heavy talk, light talk, sports, all these things. You can just press that button and automatically set up a whole bunch of presets for you. When you set the talk formats compared to the music formats, the number of bands in those multi-band processors drop. There's also called a DJ processor, so that when there's just a jock on a music station talking, the number of bands start to get coupled together, because you don't want to have a multi-band processor with voice processing. I mean, what the hell? Orban does this. Omnia does it. What? My point is there's a reason why they do it. So for us in ham radio to say, hey, I want a 6-band or a 10-band multi-band processor because it'll make me loud, it's like, yeah, well, the big guys don't do that. And there are volumes of research and data to show you why they don't do that.
Yeah, but Clark, these are just like, broadcast engineers and this and that. You go into a studio, right? Like a major recording studio, they're recording an album or something, and you talk to some of those audio engineers, and you bring up this stuff you're saying, they're going to laugh at you, man. They use multi-band processing on vocals all the time. All the time, man. And it works. Like, for instance, this processor, and you're thinking, of all this old crap, like that Innovonics map thing. That thing sucks. Stuff they have now is good. If I set my bandwidth for 7.2, let's say, I have 8 bands of multi-band limiting, right? It tightens them up, and it uses all 8 bands within the 7.2. If I open it up to 20, it spreads them out and uses all 8 bands across, 0 to 20. So, I don't know, and you can set them up to be real subtle. I just think that if all you're looking for is a little bit of audio density, a bump in amplitude, overall loudness, Phase Scrambler, no good. You can do very subtle surgical work with this stuff if you know what you're doing, and you can make it a lot more transparent. That's it. W2BTK.
Your processor, Billy, is cutting the audio spectrum up into 8 parts for just your voice. A music broadcast processor will only cut up the spectrum into 5 different bands. And then if it's a talk format, it'll go down to 3 bands. So do you see where things are like coming off the rails?
Yeah, but what are you saying? Like, you can't use that many bands?
Think about it. Think about what it's doing. You've got your audio spectrum cut up into 8 slices, and all of them are operating independently. That's an audio mess. If you want to get particular about, frequencies crossing over and phasing distortion and things like that, that's what's going to happen. That's why they don't do it. That's why when it really matters and there's money behind it and research, they don't do that.
Well, I think DSP is magical stuff. They've kind of got it figured out. I mean, do I sound bad?
It's all a matter of degree. You can go out and spend $8,000 on a broadcast processor, and it'll do what I'm telling you. It'll cut down the number of bands. If you want to have more bands, that's great, and you can get away with it doing a lot less. My whole point behind this is that I think that in amateur radio, it's great to experiment. There's nothing wrong with it. People should. They should try out a bunch of stuff. But if you want to, cut to the chase and have an idea, it's like, well, what's the end game? What's the end answer to this? You can look at the people in the industry that's been doing this now for decades and have it figured out. Ham radio, we reinvent the wheel every time there's a new ham radio operator, and every time we get new equipment, we reinvent the wheel because there's no consistency and there's no industry behind it. You get into broadcasting, and it's like no one's ever gonna go back. Like you'll never experiment because it's too expensive. You lose your competitive edge. You start with what works, and you build on it, and you keep that. See, it's like totally different. Part 73 and part 97 are. I'm just astonished by the difference between the two.
Yeah, but you're literally like making my argument for me. Broadcasts, right? They just do that because they know it'll work, right? It could be optimized further, but they don't see value in doing that. You know what I mean? You do it this way, it'll work every time. Could it be better? Maybe. I don't know, but we don't care. We're making money. We know this works. nobody's complaining. So, you know, and not only to say, like, that stuff, it sucks. Like, hams got way better stuff. I mean, like, think about it. Broadcast, you're plunked on one frequency all the time. Everything just stays static, this and that. You're not worried about it. We have to go multiple different frequencies, different antennas, same gear, like, you know, frequency agile, different stuff going on. Like, there's a lot more going on, you know what I mean? And we're not selling a product, so you can tinker with this stuff and get, like, amazing results. I get amazing results with 8 bands. I sit there for hours and tinker with it, and nobody's paying me. Nobody's pissed off because my station's off the air, and I made it awesome, dude. Like, I can do more with 8 bands than I can with 3. It's just super optimized, and it, you know, they don't have any value in sitting and tinkering like that, especially if it could potentially not work. But it's working. We're the experimenters. We got better, like, understanding of, like, all this crap. Like, if I do something here, it might not work on 40 meters, you know, like this. You don't worry about any of that in broadcasting, you know. It's I don't know. I think you're looking at it backwards.
I can promise you that there is no such thing as, oh, this is good enough, let's leave it, because your competitor will go the extra mile and have the better product. So no, they're not going to say that. If it can be made any bit better, they're going to come out with another number and round it up to the next 100. The 9300 is better than the 9200. The 9200 was better than the 9100, and that's how the pro processor things go, whether it's Orban, or Omnia, whoever. I mean, those are the big ones in the U.S. So no, they don't say, well, this is good enough. They're always innovating. But here's fun fact number 4. Did you know that the Q of your antenna system can limit your high frequency response? That's right, folks. This is, again, you know, look at broadcast stations. 10 kilohertz they get. Well, what the hell? We're using that same kind of bandwidth. They broadband their antennas. They have to. Otherwise, you get spitty highs, you get high-end roll-off. You know, I don't know if anyone's noticed this, that when they go and stuff, they can see their SWR jump. That's a sign of a high Q narrowband antenna. So yeah, when you say that we tune around to different frequencies and different bands, if you want to have real good audio quality when you're modulating on AM, you have to take your antenna bandwidth into account also. All right, as I said, fun fact number 4. N1BCG.
Yeah.
104 sounds better. KB8SMU.
My SWR didn't jump. It's still the same.
Yeah, 1, 2. Hold on. Okay, yeah, Clark, real quick. Transmit mic, let's see, I guess it's the mic amplifier, mic gain. Then it's phase rotator. It's the very first thing after the mic gain. A transmit equalizer, then goes to the leveler, then it goes to the CFC, which is the multi-band compressor. Then there's a post equalizer. There's 2 EQs in here. Then speech compressor at the very end, and then to the ALC, and then RF, I guess. But anyway, right after the mic, it goes to the phase rotator before there's any equalization or leveling.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, you know, just throwing that out there. That's what you said. That's the way it should be.
Great conversation, by the way.
Hey, George.
Hey, let me try to tune up here. I think I'm okay. Audio-wise, I think. I'm watching the meter. Lack of a scope here. But great conversation between you two. So, again, hello to everybody on frequency. I've just got it on here.
Oh, by the way, Ron, somebody on Twitch said that you sounded better without the phase rotator.
Yeah, that was Dave.
Somebody on what?
On my live stream here. No, it's somebody who I've never seen in here before. Just popped in. They have a Dewa RF440 speech processor. That's it's K3PN. That's who was in there via the internet. So I'm live streaming our QSO here on Twitch TV. /AmateurRadioLIVE.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting. So, well, you know, whatever.
Yup. So, yeah, there's K3PN via the internet listening to us.
And how is he listening? To an SDR?
Well, he's listening to my SDR, which I'm live streaming out onto a streaming service called Twitch.
Is that something I'd be able to hear?
Yeah, do you have a computer in front of you?
I'm using an SDR. I'm on the computer now.
Oh, well, go to this address, twitch.tv/AmateurRadioLIVE, and it should pop right up. You'll see, you know, my pan adapter, and there's like a chat and stuff.
Yeah, okay, let me see. Hold on. It's booting. It's not booting. It's going to the web page. Twitch. Okay, hold on a second. Twitch.live TV.
Here, I'll make it easy. Just look me up on QRZ, and there's a link in my profile there.
Okay, I'll go that way.
Oh, KB8SMU's in here too. Oh man, an N0AQG. A lot of hams in here today.
They're like, who's that lectury guy about the audio?
Clark. We want Clark.
Yeah. Enough of this. Who's got twitch.tv/nervous? That's the one I want.
I don't know. I'd have to see if that's even taken. You should take it right now. There's probably people listening. They're gonna snipe it.
Oh yeah, you can have nervous Twitch.
Into this recording?
I'm sorry. What was that?
Meaning Ron wants to scroll back to listen to it.
Oh, well, no, it's live right now. So once I end the stream here, end the stream. Once I shut this thing down, it'll be available to scroll through and watch as a video, and then I also upload them onto YouTube.
Yes, once he ends his stream and zips up, that's it.
Well, there's somebody's like blowing.
You know, that sounds like oh hell, I'm having a Biden moment. What the hell is that?
I did pick up my voice. It was probably
I'll think of it in a second. I'll think of it right after I unkey.
Oh, Ron, the thing you gotta know is when I'm doing this live stream thing, there's usually like a pretty hefty delay, like maybe like 20 seconds or something.
Stanag, see? Yes, that wind blowing sounds like the Stanag stuff, which, by the way, you can always check. It usually comes from Europe. So if you go to a web-based SDR in Europe and tune into this frequency, chances are it'll be like 80 over S9.
Yep.
How's my signal strength, by the way? I think I've climbed up. I'm at like 160 watts of carrier.
Yeah, I was getting all fouled up because I was listening to the Twitch or whatever you call it, and that's about 15 to 20 seconds delayed. and I realized I can't listen to that because it's too late. Yeah, I'll check it out later.
See, it's like calling into a radio station. Yeah, please keep your radio turned down in the background. We're on tape delay here. Don't listen on the phone. Do not listen to your radio.
Do not pass go. If you experience nervous twitches lasting more than 4 to 6 hours, please consult a physician. Thank you.
Did you say this is going to be on YouTube later?
Yeah, I generally upload all the streams to YouTube, usually the next day or sometimes the same day.
And what do I just look up your call letters on YouTube?
No, I still have my old CB handle as my YouTube, 631NJ. But if you search that on YouTube, just the number 631NJ, it'll come up.
So you're recording the stream locally then?
I'm streaming out to Twitch, and then they capture it on their server, where I can have them upload it to YouTube for me, like as an export to YouTube basically. So I'm just streaming it out live, and it gets recorded elsewhere.
Wow, I'm trying to think of where the function is even in the new YouTube studio where you can transfer a file that's not uploaded.
Yeah, Billy, what are you using for equipment for on the air right now?
I'm using I guess you could call it a homebrew SDR. It's a red Pitaya RF board, basically like a multi-function thing. It's got a spectrum analyzer, a VNA, signal generator, and somebody came up with some real hacky scripts for it, where you could turn it into a transmitter with this program called GNU Radio. So you can pipe I and Q signals into the thing with GNU Radio, and it'll just basically take those and make whatever RF waveform that you want. So I'm using that to feed a little tiny 2-watt LNA that I got on Amazon that's bringing it up to around, I don't know, maybe like 10 to 20 dBm, like 10, 20 milliwatts. That feeds the Harris RF110A, which is a pair of pentodes driving a pair of 8122s driving a pair of 4CX1500Bs, and that's all I'm on right now, about 180 watts a carrier, just loafing everything. W2BTK.
Yeah, that sounds kind of pretty elaborate. Yeah, I was just curious. Yeah, the brief listening that I did to that Twitch or whatever you call it sounded really good. I mean, just listening to Clark, I heard myself briefly. I really didn't listen, but listening to Clark, and it sounded excellent. It looks like it's a really good recording, or stream, I should say.
Maybe I should turn off my phase rotator and sound better.
Yeah, dude, try it.
You don't use one, do you, Clark?
Always.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that, really.
Oh, now, after all that lecturing, how could I not?
Well, yeah, I know. Now, is it a mechanical rotator or a digital rotator?
You threw me off with that. It's not mechanical, it's analog.
Oh, analog. Okay. Well, I know the earliest rotators were done using LC circuits. That's, at least that was something that I read, how you can build it actually using LC circuits, like a filter configuration. That's why I asked.
You can. That was in the 1960s. That was the Con-Symmetra peak. That's actually what started all of this. No, it's an 8-pole filter which uses RC circuits and op amps.
Oh, Okay, I think I've seen that circuit somewhere. I remember coming across a phase rotator circuit that you can build yourself using op amps. Maybe that's the one I saw.
Could very well be.
All right, I'm going to get out of here. Anyway, 73, nice talking to both of you. Billy, haven't spoken to you in a while. W2BTK and N1BCG. WB2RON is clear.
Take care.
All right, Ron, have a great evening.
Oh, I think George got stepped on. He was saying bye. All right, Ron. Yeah, good catching you out here. Thanks for chiming in, and catch you later. W2BTK.
Yeah, very good, Billy. Yeah, take care, Ron. Good to hear you. Mark, how the hell are you?
Exhausted. These like lecture-y things really take it out of a person. There's times I need to just like put a post-it note up here that says, don't get into audio discussions. Just makes you tired and pisses everybody off.
WL7B. What do you think of Megan Marshall?
Hey, Bruce.
Hey, Bill. Sound good. Boy, I remember that amplifier you got there. I had 6 of those things running in a small room. They are...
Oh, God, yeah. Dude, I have the door shut, and it's... I can hear it right now. They're wicked. But, you know, I don't care. That's why people don't have them.
Oh, I know, because I thought about getting one, and I said, oh, man. Because they were on the surplus market. They still are. But I can remember taking those things all apart. Yeah. So you get about 200 watts carrier. You probably get... How much can you get out of that thing?
1,000 watts carrier. I mean, I wouldn't run it like that, but it can do it. It's a pair of 4CX1500Bs. I don't know. I'm running 180 watts carrier. I don't run it much more than this. And when I use it as a driver. That's why I got it, because to drive Big Blue, and then I turn it down to like 30 watts, 30, 40 watts or something.
Gotcha. Well, that amplifier is perfect because you don't need much to drive it, from what I recall. Oh, good. And you got that SDR running. It reminds me of the old days, but we didn't talk about SDRs and all this type of stuff. But now that's the new wave.
Yep, it's cool. I mean, like with this you could do anything, man. Like it doesn't have any limitations. Like you can make any type of RF you want, any mode, any type of modulation. It's got 2 inputs and 2 outputs, so you can do crazy stuff with your antennas. Run 2 amplifier chains into 2 antennas and phase them electrically. Steer the RF, stuff like that. I can plop extra carriers around. Like hold on, let me plop a carrier down. Yeah, there you go. There's some carriers. So I'm making some carriers there. Whee! Look at all that crap. I can I slide them around. Let's hold on. Let's move them down there. Whoop! Oh, now they're real far away. Whoop! Yeah, there we go. I don't know. I gotta turn that off. That's horrible. That's very bad. But cool stuff.
Well, you can quirm yourself.
Hello, this is W2CDL. Could I get a radio check?
Checks in the mail, driver.
That's what I need. I need a check. How you doing?
No, not bad. Not bad. Welcome.
I'm a newbie. I'm new. I was just born. I'm new.
Welcome.
Schwelcome.
Yeah, this is Andy in West Hempstead. You probably haven't heard me in a while. I'm just trying to get my station together, and want to see how it sounds. I guess it sounds okay. It's working.
Sounds fine, you know, communications quality, but listen clear. I mean, I'm not missing a single thing you're saying.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. I'm just curious, which SDR radio are you talking about?
The exciter that I'm running?
Yeah, the one you're playing with. Yeah, we're just playing with, yes.
Well, if you want to look it up, if you're at a computer, go to redpitaya.com, REDPITAYA, and you can see the board itself. I have the 14-bit version.
Okay, spell that. I'm on the computer now. What, spell that?
It's Red Pitaya, Pitaya. So it's like, it's a board that they make for like RF developers, engineers, to replace like expensive test equipment. Like you can use this thing as a spectrum analyzer, signal generator, VNA, like all sorts of stuff.
Rotators Electronic Lab?
Yeah, that's it. Red Pitaya. It's like a little board with some SMA connectors on it, and an Ethernet jack.
What is this thing? Oh, it's only $589. That's it.
Oh, that's the expensive one. No, the one I have, I think they're like $300. But dude, it's not something that you can like take out of the box and use as like an SDR radio. You gotta tinker quite a bit.
That's what I love doing. That's my field. All right, thanks. This is Andy, by the way, W2CDL. We never spoke, but I know you're in Jersey, and I'm in Long Island. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, Andy. Well, you have fun with that. You download GNU Radio, and I could, you know, give you some pointers and stuff. My buddy Jerry's got a channel on YouTube, the GMR 140. He's got a lot of good videos about it. He's the one who told me about it. So he's out there too. Anyway, yeah, you're sounding good in Long Island. W2BTK. You got Clark out there. Dude, there's a bunch of people out here.
More than you know. Hello, Billy.
Well, I know there's a group. No, my ears perked up when you were talking about that. You know, just giving a demonstration. I want to see if I can get one. I like building. I'm one of those home brewing types, just like yourself. And I love collecting test equipment. And that's what I'd like to do. So, yeah, we'll talk. That'll be good. You'll give me some pointers.
Yeah, man, go for it. It's pretty cutting edge crap.
The band is starting to go long. Hello, Billy the Kid.
Yo, Daryl, what's up?
Oh, man, busy at the airport, man. Ongoing, man. Ongoing. Oh, man, it'd be like another 2 years out there.
Well, at least it's going. Our job was shut down today and tomorrow. So, you know, at least you got somewhere to go.
Yeah, well, we're pretty busy down here on this end. We got a big hospital job, 2 big hospital jobs, Hackensack and some other place. Got big projects, man, big. And, you know, I ain't gonna be around too long, so I might pull the plug, July or maybe January, I'm out. So, I don't know, but, we got a ton of work, man. We had to hire some out-of-towners, man. Not out-of-towners, but another local. We had to hire a couple of guys from another local just to fill in. Man, we just busy as hell. We got nobody at the halls. Nobody.
Well, I mean, that's a good problem to have. Our hall's the opposite. We got 13-month list, man. Like, you get laid off, like, that's it. You're probably not going to work for 13, 14 months. So, I don't know. If it's busy, but there's always the other thing.
Yeah, I hear that. Well, I'm glad it's busy because I'm about ready to retire, so it's busy. So I'm getting these hours in and get that extra credits and some extra dough when I go. But, all right, good hearing you, man. I'm going to get out of here. I got to go hang a flat screen TV for the daughter, and I just heard you in there, man. I ain't heard you in a while. Well, I ain't been out here, so I just wanted to say hello, and I'm going to get on out of here. But you're sounding good as usual. And tell everybody I say hello out there. So I'm going to get out of here. But I should be back about maybe 2 hours. So take care. This is KD2AFL. And Billy, I'll be talking to you.
The glass from the past. All right, Daryl. Always a pleasure catching you out here. If I'm still out here in 2 hours, well, that'll be good. Anyway, where the hell did Clark go? Where'd Bruce go? Where'd Ron go? Well, Ron left. Where'd everybody...
One question for you. This is W2CDO.
Yeah, what's up, Andy?
Yeah, just to get an idea, look me up on QRZ. You'll see a picture of my shop. Look me up and then you get an idea of what I do.
CDL, is it WA2CDL or W2CDL?
Whiskey Alpha 2 Commercial Driver's License. So it's C is in cat, D is in dog, L is in love.
Oh, dude, you've got test equipment there. Hey, do you have a vector signal generator?
I have lots of them. I got over 1,000 pieces of test equipment.
Well, bro, you don't even need a red Pitaya if you have a vector signal generator. You can use your new radio just how I'm doing it, except you'll just use analog IQ signals and feed your vector signal generator. Dude, you can totally make that thing basically into an SDR. That's what I was doing before with the Roden Schwartz until I got the red Pitaya.
Yeah, I was thinking of doing that. Yeah, I could do that. What you see is only one, not even a tenth of what I have. I have quite a few racks of equipment. And then I have a storage location with more stuff.
Oh, dude, well, maybe you have what I'm looking for. So I've got a Roden Schwartz. It's the SMIQ03B, and it's got the IQ modulator card has some bad components in it. The output's unleveled. I can't get, it's jumping around on me. It won't pass self-calibration. Hit the error 110. You might know that. I don't know how recently you've messed with one of those, but if you have an 03B and you have a good IQ modulator module, I might try to buy it off of you. You don't have anything like that, do you?
Hold on a second. Let me just check my modulation here. It's possible because I got so much stuff I don't even know what I have because I don't see it every day. I gotta check inventory and see what I have. I might. So I'll check.
Yeah, dude, I'll send you an email with the card that I'm looking for, like the number for the model. It'd be out of an 03B. I think there was a couple, like one other Roden Schwartz model that had the same IQ modulator cards. But I'll send you an email with exactly what I'm looking for. And, I'm not in a hurry. Just like, next time, like, you trip over a Roden Schwartz VSG, see if it's one of those, and if you have the card, because I'm looking for one.
I shall. This is the first time we're speaking, but I do more listening than talking because there's so many people on. Incidentally, I'm using an ICO 720 with the modulator that I restored over the last summer. I had some time, so I got this stuff used years and years ago, and it was just sitting on the shelf. I never even turned it on, and finally I got it to work, and this is what it sounds like. I'm going into an amplifier as well. But, alright, I'll take a look and I'll see. I know I got quite a few Roden Schwartz pieces, but I don't know the models. I'll have to check my inventory and see. So that's why I'm saying that. But I'll let you know.
Yeah, dude, that'd be sweet. ICO sounds good, you know. Got communications, audio, it's, you know, there's plenty there, well modulated. And good signal at the amplifier. Anyway, who else is out here? I don't want to hog it all up.
Yeah, W1IA. It was just changing out the panel here. I had to rewire a lot of stuff. Oh my God, this shack was a mess. And hello, Andy, I think it was. And I've been listening. I just had a lot of cleanup to do. Stripped off a lot of cables behind the rack, and man, a lot better. Improvements. Anyway, I've been listening. Bill, W1IA.
Wow, I thought we drove you off.
No, I enjoyed the go-around on the Phase Rotator, and Ron was in and out, so I did a lot of cleanup. Man, what a mess of cables. And now I can actually see the bench, and, you know, neatness, and it would have helped me with some of the stupidity over here, Clark. That stupid RF sampling cable sitting on the audio rack. So I took the time and dug in and cleaned up. So worthwhile. W1IA.
Hey. Hi, George.
Yeah, how you doing, Brent, W2CDL?
Hey, Ron.
I got to get out of here. I just came home from work. But saying hi to you, and I know that you're doing a lot of interesting things too. I'll catch you guys later, because I got to take care of something here before 6:30, and it's already 10 after 6.
Andy.
From Andy, W2CDL, Long Island. And Brent, give it back to you, pass it around, and I'll say goodbye for now.
Yeah, good to hear you, Andy. I even moved the mic boom over. Good to hear you, man. We'll catch up with you later, now that I got the station cleaned up, reorganized, and all that stuff. So I'm just going to enjoy myself this evening and make a nuisance. Whoever gets it, this is the break-in. W1IA.
What?
Well,
This is space for rent. KC2RGW.
it's very expensive, Chris. I'll take a check, though.
I only accept Bitcoin.
Hey, thank you for all those recordings, man. I couldn't be happier than a pig in cow dung or whatever, you know what I mean? But that was instrumental in fine-tuning. Good job.
No problem. I was hoping I didn't confuse you with the last two, and you probably noticed the radical difference between the plain AM detector and then the sync detector with the noise filter and everything. It's back. How much you can manipulate the signal quality on this thing, but happy to help.
No, the flat response, no, I read that, and no problem whatsoever. And Clark and Bill had me dump everything below 50 hertz. It was kind of silly. A lot of wasted energy and components are not in my voice. My wife went in and turned on the dryer, and it sounded like a helicopter was rumbling through the table. And of course, dumped everything from 50 hertz and down completely. And that was instrumental. It really made a big difference instead of that wasting all that energy there, you know.
Yeah, I dumped at 50 here as well, and then on top of that I have to EQ even further to drop out like 80 and 63, but yeah, good. It's sounding very good now.
Yeah, that really worked well. I had some fun. I picked up K3FEF's SDR, and you know, that's a good way of doing it, because you heard the phase distortion as the signal went through the atmosphere. And Bob said, "You sound distorted." I says, "Bob, I'm listening on an SDR, you know, without a sync." So, you know, initially my voice came up, sounded distorted, and then of course it cleaned up as the atmosphere did what it does. So you can't be caught off guard with that stuff. But I'm glad you're on frequency. You're done with a day's work. And just pass it back to you when there's a bunch of folks in here. But I'm having fun.
And that's the truth too that I mentioned, is you listen, if you have 4 different receivers to listen on, they're all going to be slightly different. So it comes down to splitting hairs and trying to land in the middle of the haystack there. Alrighty, enough from me. KC2RGW.
It's like 4 receivers and 4 different opinions.
Oh man, you know what's cool about this receiver is now I can have as many VFOs as I want, and I can route them to different outputs on my sound card. So I can plug in like 8 speakers and listen to 8 QSOs at once.
Exactly.
It's like when I asked my buddy about time standards, and he turned out to be a lab-level engineer in fiber optic technology, so time is super critical. He got finished explaining why time was so important to me about 4 hours later, which is fascinating. And then he said, "Remember one thing, you now have this Trimble Thunderbolt," which is what I was playing with at the time, a GPSDO. He said, "Never buy another one, because your next to your worst day as a time guy would be to have 2 clocks, because they'll never agree, and the end of everything for you would be if you get 3, because you'll never know the truth."
Yeah. Somebody with ADD would probably go into vapor lock.
Hi, Billy.
Hey Chris, W2BTK.
Yeah. When you start cleaning out old cabling from old projects. So I ripped out 50 feet of cables in different form or fashion. It's pretty scary. I just kept building, kept adding, and never took anything out behind me. Radios. I need cable trays. I'm going to have to do that this year and stop talking about it.
Oh God, we're running miles of basket tray at work right now. There's gonna be some left over. I take 20-30 foot of that home. Nice 4x4 and 4x6 tray. Good stuff.
So like Panduit?
No, the Panduit's like that plastic stuff with the snappy tops and like the little fingers on the side. No, this is like straight up basket tray. Like I don't know, look it up. Flex Tray is a manufacturer of that. And then they have like cable tray too. We're actually pulling all our feeders in cable tray in this place, which is like, you know, big stuff. Looks like a ladder, basically like an aluminum ladder. But yeah, Flex Tray. Just Google Flex Tray. You can look at the catalog.
Yeah, I remember going over to, let me see here, I got it. Over to Chuck's K1KW's, and he had cable trays, I mean, with the extensive amount of stuff from the Bertha ramp and all the toys, and he was meticulous about grounding everything on a common bus, and it was really short runs of braid. Every piece of gear in that station was tied into a bus, a big heavy piece of copper. I know, I'm trying to remember, it was something like 3 or 4 inches and pretty thick. It was drilled and tapped for multiple points, and everything was tied into it in the cable tray. Of course, most of it was hardline, but a lot of control cables and so forth. And, you know, that would be ideal for me to take the time, and I could build them. I got the welder, could put some stuff together. I'd like to do them in aluminium, though.
Copper's where it's at, more valence electrons. Dude, I wish, if you lived closer, man. Dude, like, I'm swimming in this crap. Like, all demo from work, like, we take apart this old Westinghouse panel, man, that we took apart. The thing is installed in the 50s or whatever. Dude, it had big, giant copper buses in it. I took one of those. That's what I'm using in the shack here. It's about, I think it's like a 5-foot long bus. It's a real thick chunk of copper. It was like Westinghouse switchgear. I think it was like an 800 amp distro. A piece of the bus from that, and yeah, it's all tapped and everything. That's my common ground there. But I could just like, I have this stuff.
Yep. Well, I'm kind of looking forward to spring, because then, short of finding it, hey, you might be able to find it. It's not that big a deal. I mean, you think about a cable tray. That whip went up if I had just some aluminum stock. You know, some angle stock and some bar stock. Drill and tap, find my studs, and run the trays around the two walls as an L-shaped station layout, and get rid of these gate leg tables and build my own benches. Then I'd tear down the whole station to do it, but it'd be worthwhile.
N1BCG. Well, if you don't want to wait for spring, you got a taste coming up Thursday, at least around these parts. It's going to reach 70. How about that?
Yeah, it's supposed to be in the 50s up here, Clark. I'm looking forward to it, man. I am overdue to get outside. And I did, you know, the best part about tearing the old cables out, I found a bunch of, you know, chokes, snap-ons and stuff, and I put them in a pile here and added them to some of the audio lines. I put the big donut choke on the mic feed to the rig, which is probably the best return path for RF, because it's an unbalanced line, just ground in the center post.
This is changing. WB2HJK. Good to hear all of you, though.
Hey, George.
Hey. I was doing fine. Thank you for asking.
George, that's the closest I've ever heard to you raising your voice, like, at all over a whisper. That was pretty cool. I wish Dave was listening.
It's Mother Nature.
No, I mean, like, you actually went like into the mic. It always sounds like you're whispering, like, into your mic, you know. Like, I agree with Dave. Like, I'd love to hear you just like yell like one time.
In this environment, I'm not going to get away with it. One day, maybe. Hold your breath.
Come on, squeeze those gonads and let's hear it.
Oh, I did that when I enlisted.
Turn your head to the left and cough, please. I still remember those days.
Uh-huh.
Guess I could yell in here. The only thing that could happen is to startle my cat. Ah! Whoa. Yeah, see, look, multi-band dynamics processing. Ah! Wow.
You're not getting sucked back into that.
Oh, you missed the long discussion. George, you're in rare form tonight. The conditions are marvelous.
Thanks. Yeah, Mother Nature. Perfect timing on my part. Coming out here. It's 1819. I figured I should keep the same skin. Because I sound the best at this time. But all of you sound great. So it's just propagation. Nothing new here. 40-meter loop with a variety of different grounds. Thank you to municipalities, sewer pipes and everything else below this KTH. And of course reflection of commercial buildings, metal works and everything else. And That's my entire antenna system layout. All included.
Did you say 40-meter loop?
Yep, that's the only thing I can fit up here.
The dinner bell rang. I shall return if the band remains. KC2RGW.
I hope so, Chris. I always enjoy your company. Yeah, George, I was just in that sweet spot tonight. That 40-meter loop is working on this band quite well, so... let me just check my loading. I just have the array pointed somewhere else. Whatever. Yeah, but Clark and Bill were instrumental in helping me this afternoon and dumping all that low-end T-rash. Wife turned on the dryer, sounded like a helicopter. It was rumbling into the microphone and using up all the bottom energy.
It's an evolution.
Speaking of evolution, I think I'm going to change my location, evolve upstairs, and get some cold beverages. I'll be back. Keep the frequency warm. W1IA.
Okay, Brent. Yep, I'll be waiting here, and the rest of you too. Hopefully. Clark, you're disappearing. Propagation?
He's holding it together here.
Wow, so much from my receive. Speaking of which, my carrier dropped. Nope. Alright, I just tweaked it. This amplifier is not made for AM, so it loses power, and I have to tweak it up with ALC. So much for details of my setup here. And for those interested, WB2HJK.
Right.
Yes, that is right.
Speaking of right, hopefully this summer, well, spring maybe, I can resurrect that isotron and play with it. And I kept in mind what you were talking about, Clark, where the design is, shall we say, faulty, and the bottom plate won't be necessary, so just keep it there and see what happens when I take it out in a few months.
I was going to ask you about the isotron, so you beat me to it.
What do they say about light minds? And no, I don't take that seriously, not in this case. You're far ahead of me. As far as anything else, the 40-meter loop happens to work only because, and as I repeated often, is the surroundings, underground, as well as everything else. And God knows where those lobes really end up going. In the city limits, there's no way I can detect anything, or forecast where the signal might be going. I learned it the hard way about 45 years ago.
Well, whatever tuner you're using should be in an ad, in a marketing ad for that company. It's doing a fine job managing a 40-meter loop on 80.
Thanks. It's a homebrew tuner made 1968 something. The vernier dials, the whole 9 yards. Quite a beast. Yeah, you're right. Before this, I had everything under the sun in the Noah's Ark. And I'm just about pretty much secure that this puppy can't handle anything. Providing it's a decent load. The loop is behaving itself as it always does. But anything like an infed, I don't have a ground in here. So the tuner can't accommodate for that. But yeah, to look at it, you might say this is a work of art. Incredible. Very heavy duty components. No vacs, just air caps and heavy duty inductor. Anyway, for that matter, you're right. If it wasn't for this, I wouldn't be on the air. At least not with this power.
George, I'm using my $35 Amazon 2-watt LNA right now.
Wow. You sound perfect. Well, in my ears anyway.
Well, the 2-watt LNA is driving something else. But it's turned down. See, this is the best part. It's turned down to like 20 milliwatts to drive the next thing.
Of course I waited for the punchline. What's the app? Or shouldn't I ask?
Oh, I'm doing about 100. Wow, I creeped way up. I'm doing about 180 watts of carrier right now with the Harris 110A. So it's the exciter drives this little 2-watt Amazon LNA, and that drives the Harris, which is a pair of pentodes driving a pair of 8122s driving a pair of 4 CX1500Bs. And it's obviously turned way down. I could probably stay keyed up like this for, I don't know, 10 years.
That's exactly the setup we all should have. You know, the ability to go max, but the wisdom not to. And that's exactly why. You sound great.
Thanks, George.
Now, speaking of being thankful, my debut on AM was back about 2.5 years ago, I think, with all of you, or most of you, accompanying my journey here. And my thanks to all of you, otherwise I wouldn't be sounding as good as I am, even Mother Nature included. So, it's amazing. Great group of guys here.
Well, we're off to a good start.
Yeah, man. It is a good group.
We're marvelous.
That was a good debate, too.
Yeah, it's good to get the hackles up from time to time. Keeps the blood flowing.
Well, alright. I'll turn on my phase rotator. There we go. Now it's on. The world. It's you know, raining cats and dogs. Pigs are flying.
Yeah, rotate it. I think the ore bands have the phase rotisseries, and almost you said all that high-end broadcast stuff does there, Clark.
All of it.
The first time I even heard that term was over at Chuck's. Of course, he runs an ore band, and you know, Vonix, and he's got this rather amazing device. I'll try to think of the name of it. But it had these big meters on it. They're very rare, hard to find. Peak reading, some modulation monitor with these beautiful large meters on it. What do they call those gizmos?
Well, it's a modulation monitor?
I think so. I'm trying to remember the company. It had a D in it. But it was very rare, and they're hard to find. A really beautiful piece of instrumentation.
It's probably a Duro VU meter.
There's, De Sequeira?
Duro.
What was that, Billy?
Probably Duro. It's probably a Duro VU meter.
Yeah, I think it was a Duro.
Manufacturer. The only mod monitor that I know that with a D in it is De Sequeira. There's Bellar, there's TFT, there's Modulation Sciences, but I don't really know any with a D.
Well, he's saying it might not have been a mod monitor. It's probably one of those Duro VU meters. Those things are cool.
What gear it was.
Oh, Duro loudness monitor. Was it like an LED meter that the average is bar graph and the peak is dot?
I think so. Yeah.
That's it. Okay. Yes. Duro used to be a broadcast equipment manufacturer. Mike and Kay. That was a family business. They were amazing. Very nice people. And But the thing is that they got out of the broadcast processor business because it was just getting too cutthroat. So, but people liked the meters that they came up with, the loudness monitor. So he started marketing just that. And so, it's the Duro loudness meter, and you can get them in many different configurations. But those are beautiful, and they've got like 30 or more elements, 30 or more LEDs in it. I mean, they're really a sight to behold, but they're very nice from that standpoint because you can see what your average level is versus your peak very clearly with the configuration that they have.
I'm going to have to look it up on the internet, but I remember how beautiful it was, and apparently they're becoming very hard to find.
Well, they still make them, but they're very expensive. It's Duro, D-O-R-R-O-U-G-H, Duro.
Yeah, thanks. I'm going to look one up because Duro. Okay. I remember how beautiful the damn thing was, the way it was displayed. And I remember seeing that in the shack along with the, Ore band and the Unibonics gear and stuff like that. Stuff that I can only dream about. But it's not necessary. I mean, it's really nice stuff, but who the hell can afford it?
Mastering studio.
Yeah.
NBC.
Absolutely. I think he just moved. Boy, that's not a fun project. Can you imagine having to move? You've got, a massive collection of ham gear and separate studios, and they all have to move and be rebuilt. Ugh.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, right.
I'm looking at a Duro, and wouldn't you know, they're not as expensive as I thought, but maybe his was an older one. And I went into images. It had that, meter-style display, and they're really cool. The 40A2 is a bunch of them, but I thought those were just really pretty to look at. I mean, they just probably work, but the older ones, I guess, were very pricey.
It's like arranging your light bright set to actually show you something useful.
Yeah, it's true. But, I know the audio rack that Chuckles had, I haven't heard him on the air in a long time. Maybe he just doesn't get on 75.
I think he's like Tom Vu. They're seasonal, except not seasons. They're just like they come in, they're on every day, all day for months, and then poof, gone for the next couple of years.
I miss Tom Vu. Good God, man. Ding, racer's done.
Well, he's still pretty active online. Is that interesting? I guess people they get into it, then they burn themselves out, then they have to go away and then come back later.
To that, I definitely take long hiatuses from the hobby, and I'm go like a madman till I'm get tired of it, and then I'm off to doing something else. So I can understand that approach. I really can.
Long hiati.
Yes, never mind.
I'm the same way, except my other half controls that part.
Now, George, I know you must wear the pants in that family. Where's the big tower on the property? Come on.
I'll have whatever he's having.
George, you got something going on over there.
Hell no. Not one little peak. I'm just keeping an eye on the meter when the tube bar warms up, it kind of goes on down in power, and I have to adjust the ALC. It's all Mother Nature. And plus whatever stuff I don't have any control over.
No, I think Billy meant your audio sounds like you're set up in a laundromat.
No, I meant he's got something more that meets the eye, you know, like I think he's doing something special over there, and he's just kind of leading us on, you know, but he's got it going on over there.
Well, if my audio sounds like a laundromat, is that with the machines on?
Sounds like you got a blower in the background, like you're running an amp, a big amp.
2016. Has it really been 5 years already, or is it later than that?
Maybe I had too much audio. The fan. I'm 16 inches away from the fan of the amp. And I got a rubber mat underneath the mic because the AC strip underneath, or at the edge of the table here, that I call my QTH, carries the RF into the audio. And the reason I'm saying all this, by the way, is to give you guys an idea of how congested this table is. And the tuner is in between my mic and the amp, and the rig is on top of a milk crate. So what does that mean? It means that sometimes I have the volume a little too high, and it picks up the noise on the fan. Speaking of laundromats.
No, but, you know, not to be anal, but you're a kilohertz high.
Thank you. Believe it or not, I was tuning up with Billy. And I thought you guys might have been on... I'm on 75 now. Hey, thank you, sir.
Did anyone else just see that really wideband like noise, or is that local to me?
Okay, sorry. Billy doubled with you. I appreciate that. Now I'm on 73. Damn it.
No, doesn't matter. It just was looking at the spectral scope and kind of... Yeah, I like that. You got that big blower sound in the background. What do you think, Bill? He needs a Harris.
Oh, that Harris is too much. I have to have the door shut. But no, you hear some blower, but it doesn't sound that bad. I mean, it sounds like you, George. Did anyone else see that really wideband like noise about, I don't know, 20, 30 seconds ago in the spectrum there? Or is that local to me?
There's someone who's been doing that lately. I don't know what it is. Haven't been able to figure out who the signal is, but there's someone been dumping that here and there lately.
You see that today, Chris? They were about 5 kc down from 8.5, and you see this spike on the band, and then you see them sweep up and down and come back to 80.
It's almost 100 kilohertz wide at times, and then they tune up and they tune up and they tune up, and they have spurs all up and down the band, and then it settles back in, and then they tune up and tune up again. I don't know if it's someone building something or what, but it's someone who clearly needs a dummy load.
Wow, I wonder if it's the return of that wood burner thing in central PA.
I don't know, but it's pretty weird. During the daytime up here, Clark, it was very, very strong. I assume you saw that too, Chris.
What wood burner thing?
The one that was located with TOTA. Yeah, TDOA. That it was like the doomsday device, and it was centered on 3880, and it took out the whole top half of the 80-meter band. I mean, it wasn't just like, you know, I hate the term AM window because it really doesn't exist, but it took this whole section out here and all the way up past 4 megahertz, and it was continuous, and it was like 30 over. It's like, what the hell? It was as if Steve went bonkers and decided to destroy the world. So, but it turned out through because no one could use basically the top of 80 meters, 75 meters. There was plenty of time to TOTA it, and all the maps came back that it was central PA, and it turns out it was very accurate. It was some weird experiment thing going on at what was it? University of Pennsylvania or something like that. Yep, the FCC ended up investigating it, and suddenly at 9 o'clock on Monday morning, it stopped abruptly. Probably because some professor walked in and had a pink note on his door while you were out. FCC wants to talk to you about something you're doing. That was very effective.
Wow.
Well, but what? It was just some experiment. That's all we did. Like, do you know what it was? Wood burner thing? Like what? What?
I don't remember. It was something like that. It was explained. Somebody knew somebody there, and they kind of mentioned it kind of vaguely on the air. And at the time, it's like you're more interested in the fact that it's gone than what literally it was. But it has. What the hell was it? I have notes on it. I'll look on my computer from back then, and I'll email you the stuff that I've got.
By the way, I hear some hum on here.
It just happened again just then, right, Billy?
Yeah, I saw it just a couple seconds ago. Well, 10 seconds ago. However, yes.
It used kiln drying to do something to wood. That's where the wood burning thing came from.
Okay. Inductive type wood burning heater thing?
Yeah, it's someone's gonna say some keywords like thermal, RF thermal heating. So it's vague now because that was a couple of years ago. But boy, did that thing make a mess of the band. Kiln drying of lumber. Ding.
Hello there.
It's like a lumber microwave.
Evening.
Is that the Blaine?
No, but I appreciate the compliment.
Oh, good evening.
KB3 WFV.
Hi, Brian.
Hi, Brian.
Yeah, kiln drying. It's an expensive, time-consuming process, and they were experimenting with RF to speed it up and reduce its combustible fuel consumption. Don't you hate the kids in class who actually were paying attention? Sorry. Well, you just make the rest of us like me look bad.
Over, Brian.
How'd you like to be the guy that doesn't realize they're about to run that test and standing in the middle of that thing by accident?
I'm sure it pissed off a lot of cell phones in the area. It's called a race changer. Scientifically engineered gender bender? Oh yeah, it'll burn that thing right off too.
Oh, hey, Clark.
That's right. You can kiss that dongle goodbye. Yes, Billy.
Oh my God, you called it a dongle. Hey, I figured I'd mention this to you because you love this stuff. Bob, remember Bob? He moved XBM. And he finally got his antenna up, and he's listening to us on it. Like, how cool of an accomplishment is that?
What, in Arizona?
Where he moved? No, he didn't move. What? I don't know. He's got a 250-foot homebrew ladder line dipole now, and he made his link couple tuner, and he's listening to us with it. He's been off the air forever. He's almost back, is my point. That's pretty cool. Worth mentioning, right?
Oh, this is someone else. Never mind. Where is he?
In Maine. Wherever in Maine. Over there by the Timtron. Bob, N1XBM.
Oh, wow. He's listening to us in Maine. That is an accomplishment.
I was talking to him, I thought I was talking to him the other day. Yes, I remember that.
You weren't talking to him. He's been off the air. He's been moving.
I thought he was in the process of, and maybe it's different. Yeah, different person. Was moving a northwesterly, way up near the northern New Hampshire somewhere, but a different person.
Oh crap, he said his E-rig might be ready this weekend. He's building a 24 footer, boys. Watch out.
Another one. Oh, cool.
Yeah, man. All those E-rigs, man. I like to do slop bucketing crap too, though. So I like this linear amplifier setup.
I got the big bottles for that, although I haven't fired them up lately.
You double with Chris. I miss Chris.
Yeah, like Steve's new project, the MOSFET linear, the cheap linear for AM. I think it's, what do you say, 6 MOSFETs, something like that? 5 watts in, 200 watt carrier or so. It's pretty nice.
The plan was today he was going for 20 for 500 watts RMS.
He's going to build a whole new one.
Legal limit with 6 FETs. That's cool.
Built to make 20.
Yeah, said he didn't have room on the heat sink, but he was going to build a whole new one for 20.
I can't wait till he gets that finalized. I'm going to build one.
I just want I want a amp with, you know, like 20 kilowatt carrier that I can drive with my Cobra 29.
You'd be treetop tall at 27 megs.
It'd be pretty funny to build that with a down converter, you know, to put it on frequency. And then, yeah, it was 10 today, and I think he said it's 80 volts at 7 amps. The efficiency is unbelievable.
He's running it in Class C, too. That's amazing.
Brian's seen my Suburban. Oh, that's all I have to say about that.
W1IA probably overdue. The Corona ball on the top of the antenna.
I had a 6 element on that thing, man. W2BTK. Half-wave directors floating in free space with a fiberglass mask that extended out the front of the truck. The driven element and the reflector were quarter wave, and atop the vehicle using the sheet metal as a ground plane. And then, yeah, those half-wave directors just kind of zing. This is a real tight beam width too, kind of laser beamy. And you know, I had 3CX 6000 or something back there farting around with.
Oh, you are twisted. 3CX 6000.
Oh yeah, in Class C, baby, too. I mean, like, stupid.
I like stupid, you know, because I am.
3 alternators.
I had, on the final, I had 2 Lee Sneville 320s with the diode packs removed, obviously, just tapping the secondary windings and feeding step-up transformers. And then I had a 3rd Lease 320 that ran the filaments on all the boxes and the drivers. And then the 4th alternator was just a little, I think it was a 200 amp Delco, and that ran the truck and my radios.
Why did you just hook up a Jenny, you know, and put that in the back of the Suburban?
I don't know. I had the alternators, man. Nice bracket and everything. Guzzled gas. I just drove down the turnpike and, you know, talk. You couldn't really drive with the array. I had a couple antenna setups. I had that 6 element thing. I had a pair of half wave. It was like a parasitic reflector setup with half wave elements, and that really kicked ass, man. And you know, then I just had like a little quarter wave thing that I'd stick on there when I was driving around. And it was hard to do because if I would key up and I wasn't into the throttle a bit, it would stall a truck.
How much horsepower would it take? You have to do the math, you know, to run all those alternators. Oh my God, I assume you had some kind of a battery bank.
No, well, it was, I didn't need 12 volt DC. I think on that 6000 I had about 8 kilovolt on that thing. So it was just, the alternators were modified, just tapping the secondary windings, and you'd have your unregulated AC going back to step-up transformers. And then eventually I got a buddy in South Jersey built for me a high voltage regulator that would take a sample at the primary of the plate transformers, and then it would vary the amount of voltage that it was putting on the field winding of the alternator, so that you could kind of regulate the high voltage like that.
Oh, that's a lot more efficient. That's really cool. You start thinking about pulse width modulating, to pull off that kind of signal, power supply using PDM.
Yeah, it just had a bunch of FETs in it, and I guess that was just to create the field voltage or whatever it needed. But yeah, it was all like dead bug crap in there. It was way beyond my pay grade at the time. I was just like, dang, mobile high voltage regulator, like, cool. Thanks.
I saw one of the competition rigs, I think a YouTube video, where the guy had one of the Suburbans and they put a Volkswagen Beetle motor in the back of the Suburban just to drive the alternators.
Yeah, those guys are nuts. I mean, those shootouts are a big deal. A lot of money they bet on those, and the guys, they spend a lot of money. Dude, a lot of those guys run a pair of 20s, stuff like that.
I can't even, you still do it.
Hell yeah, there's the Egg Harbor Keydown, Egg Harbor, New Jersey. They pretty much do every year. That's when I was doing this crap. That's where I would go, and it's insane stuff. I mean, the guy who beat me, he was running a 3CX 10,000, so he had a little more. But I got him in the single like the way they do it is by class. A single alternator, two alternator. You can run whatever you want, but you have to run it off one alternator. So in the one class, I got him because my box will spit out full power one alternator, and then the 2 alt class he got me because he finally had enough to feed that 10.
Good Lord, that is funny. I think I've seen some YouTube audios of some of that, videos of that stuff at one time. I can't imagine. Now, here's the real question. What's the safe distance when you talk about milliwatts per cubic centimeter to be safe? God, you'll lose your gonads being anywhere near that thing.
There's a few that were filmed on old VHS style camcorders, and it wipes the entire video out when they key down.
Yeah, it's sick. It's just nasty, IMD, splattery, excessive band. Everything is just jacked up. Class C, just you wipe out the entire spectrum, when you key this thing down. But that's how it was, and that's probably why I'm bald at 35. W2BTK.
W1IA.
A lot of hams that could learn a lot from them guys. They're very efficient at getting a big signal out of a mobile.
Hell yeah.
KC2RGW.
Yeah, but they're working with a 9-foot antenna.
What's that?
I said they're only going to work with a 9-foot long antenna.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Those guys are very efficient at getting a big signal out of a mobile, and yet hams look down their nose at them. A lot of hams could learn a lot of tricks in that mobile operation from those guys, but they got to quit looking down the nose at them.
So the question is, what qualifies as a win? The amount of corona discharge?
Listen, the antenna's set up at 27 megahertz.
So, the way you win is there's a there's a receiving station usually about 20, 30 miles away in a given direction, and you know that direction because most of these guys' antenna systems are very, very directional. So you line up side by side, and they have like a drag racing style like T there, you know, and it counts down. When the light turns green, you both key up at the same time, pointed the same way toward that receiving station, and you key down, and you tell them beforehand what you're going to be saying, and most guys just pick a number like 1 or 9 and repeat that like 1 1 1 1 1, and whoever's heard over the other one is the wiener.
No, that's exactly the problem. They should not say what they're going to be saying ahead of time. The person who's doing the listening should not know. And then after declaring, yeah, I heard the 1 or the 9 better, then the winner is revealed.
Let's try it here. 1 1 1 1 1.
Oh, I'll go turn on my final.
1 1 1 1.
9 9 9 9 9 9.
And you guys remember when Ken, make sure I got it, W2DTC had the camera on the internet pointed at I think it was an R390. And all of us would get on the frequency and, yeah, look at the signal strength remote. I miss Ken. I wish he'd be back on the air, too.
Alright, I'm switching to my nighttime pattern in about 7 minutes.
Ken has been on.
On 75?
Yes. Matter of fact, I talked to him a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, you know, it'd be a dream to have some of the tall ships back. And whatever happened to Jay? Maybe I asked this the other night.
Were you talking about Ken UDZ?
No, DTC. And then WWLJ, haven't heard him. And the VU, I don't know what Gary's up to, INR.
So nice to hear the band coming back again.
Well, we sent an invite out.
We're getting the band back together. We're on a mission from God.
That's right. Put the band back together.
Don't you blaspheme in here.
Classic. How many Fords did they waste in that movie?
I love that. Since I was a child, that's my 2 favorite movies, Ghostbusters and the Blues Brothers, man. You can't top them. Just so funny. Either one of those.
Now, National Lampoon, this stuff. I grew up, you guys remember the National Lampoon Radio Hour, well, the older listeners. On GIR, I used to listen to it Sunday night.
Yes, sir. That was a humdinger.
Yeah, Chris, you remember it. I think it was GIR, or yeah, I think so, in Boston. But I look forward to that every Sunday night.
I don't think I ever caught it, actually, and but back when I was free banding myself, there was a guy somewhere, either Staten Island or Long Island, that would run all kinds of clips. Like he had a full-on mixing setup long before that was common, and he would run the Dr. Demento show and a whole bunch of other stuff on CB, and I mean like serious quality, and I don't remember the guy's handle or anything, but I used to listen to that all the time. It was funny.
Yeah, the Dr. Demento stuff. That was great.
I have some old recording of Radio Metallica. It was like I don't know. It's on my YouTube page. It's pretty hilarious. They're making fun of Al Wiener.
Now, the guy that DJ'd the Dr. Demento show, do you remember his name, Chris?
No, I don't.
I'll have to look it up on the internet. But it was a pretty big thing. Of course, National Lampoon, there's quite a bio about how they started out in New York, I think.
Can I run reverb? Is that all right? Can we try it? All right, check this out. Can you hear it?
You know, there are binders full of research that say why you should not do that.
Yeah, but it's all right. Is it working?
I'm not hearing it.
It's probably too subtle. I need to increase. I need a better SNR. That's what I need.
The band is definitely starting to change, though.
Yeah, Bill, he did drop off quite a bit, so that's probably part of it.
I'll come back up in a minute.
What happened to that LNA? You didn't have any of that noise this afternoon, and now I can hear it.
Well, because I just turned on the final like a few minutes ago, maybe 4 minutes ago. So now I'm running through like all those power supplies, and whatever the hell's making this crap is on now, whereas it wasn't before. I'm not using the final yet, but you know, it's on warming up.
Oh, okay. There's some little fleet carrier on 76 mixing with everything. Even off the side of the antenna, Chris, you were about 55 over.
I'll tell you what, I owe it to Frank, Mr. SDR. This amplifier's been doing a real nice job for me, and it had better with what I paid for it. But yeah, this thing, gets the strap on. I have a legitimate carrier now, finally. KC2 RGW.
What rig was that?
It's one of the dual LD MOS RF kit amplifiers. So it's a pair of BLF 189s. So running, let's see what this settles at. Yeah, about 275 carrier. So I was only able to do about 100 watt carrier before, so it's helped.
Yeah, you know, I was looking into those, and you have to share me some of your technical stuff. I know the Russians are selling a lot of that modules ready to build and mount the chips. A couple of flavors of those LD MOS chips out there, but you can basically parts are fairly easily now, but I say fairly easy, I haven't built one.
I think like Steve's thing is better, but bang for the buck, I would do it.
Oh my God, yeah, that's, wow. Yeah, well, hey, build it, if not, well, deep pocket.
You know what, just write it off to a midlife crisis purchase.
Halo.
Halo?
Boats. I don't have side-by-side jet skis, so it is still pretty stupid, though.
Yes, sir. I guess nut Class C rig's getting out. KB2AM.
You are all up and down the band, sir. Check your tuning. I'm being serious, actually. You're...
Yeah, hello, Rich.
Hey, man. How you doing?
Good. Frank, W1IA, I haven't talked to you in a dog's age, brother. Yeah, I rebuilt my EE monster thanks to Dougie's boards, so she's back in fine fashion.
all the way down to 160 meters. You're taking up the whole band. Get that AM crap off of here.
I mean, there's spurs 120 kilohertz wide. It's not just a little. There's spurs everywhere.
Oh yeah, I see it. Ah, well, I guess I have to address that.
Yeah, check your loading. Yeah, I wouldn't run it very long, Rich. I'm afraid you're going to blow it up. What?
Ooh, yeah, okay.
Well, I don't think I've seen that before. What the hell would cause 120 hertz spurs?
I'll be back.
Ask Bob. It happened to him last week. Oh yeah, one of his specs wasn't soldered.
Yeah, it could be, Charlie. Who knows? Rich dead bugged his, I think, when we were all building the house years ago.
It's one of those wood burners like in Pennsylvania.
Oh, I'm killing my SDR. That's no good. Hello. Too much signal in there.
And you've got a hum. You sound like a shortwave station.
Yeah, this is weird. I changed some stuff. This isn't working quite right, though.
Hey, Clark?
Hang on, Charlie. I'm gonna go crap up my audio, and I can, be a part of the in crowd here.
Yes?
That reminds me of what my local station over here sounds like.
Somebody dumping a carrier?
Yeah, there's a carrier going.
Hey, this is
the guy that was dicking around all day, Chris, is back.
Except this week, carrier.
Yeah, but the bot.
I haven't heard that in a while. Eat.
That's on every single night.
Forever poking and prodding the ionosphere. One day it's going to smack them back and they're going to be surprised.
Isn't that location? Yeah. Crap. I'm trying to think of where that lab is. Yep. Ionosponder. Neat.
Theoretically, it's in the needle in A.
What?
Yeah, it's that MIT research thing, right?
I thought.
Yeah, I think so. W1IA probably overdue.
KC2RGW.
W2BTK. Something's unhappy over here with this setup when I changed everything around. Oh well. I'll just run like this. This is fine.
You moved the proverbial pencil.
Yeah, I tried to run all this crap into the other amplifier, and I didn't get that set up before I got on the air, so I was trying to do it on the fly, and I'll just do that later. This driver amplifier is just fine.
Why does band is kind of stretching its legs now?
Sound like a crotch reference.
That was a double.
Yeah, we got the flea bark carrier there, dead center.
The VA3JW.
Hey, Will.
Hello, I'm not even sitting down here. I don't know how I sound, but I am listening along here. My supper's not ready yet, but I'm waiting. It'll be ready soon. How you doing, Brent?
Good to hear you, man. I'm doing a lot better today. Fixed some silly problems with the audio rack, and it was causing all my grief, and so I'm pretty happy. We'll catch you after dinner if you gotta bail and come back.
Yeah, it's a beat there. Hang on. Oh, here we are. Looks like we're on 3875.
okay.
Nice to hear you guys on here. I hear there's a carrier going on, but you guys are, for the most part, getting over it. Brent, you're good. You're 60 over 9 here on the Hammerland receivers. So you're all the way over in the right. And that sounds like a Clark N1BCG maybe in the background. Yeah, I'm friggin' exhausted. Well, my brain is exhausted, and my brain is hot and pussy and yellowified from all this information I've been trying to calculate and put together in my head over the last little while. So, anyways, got off a nice long chat with Dale, the Prime Minister, about Class E stuff. Anyway, so yeah, roasted veggies for supper tonight. In about 7 minutes, it'll be ready. So I'll be here for about 7 more minutes. VA3 JWO on the Johnson Valiente.
Yep, and we're on 73, and you're perfectly zero beat. Not 75, but cool beat. Don't get too overwhelmed with that.
Oh, good day, hoser. Like, come down and join us on 3873, eh?
Yeah, good day, eh? I come down. Celsius. There, hoser, you got a better Canadian accent than I do.
I guess I got new beer,
Oh, brother. Yeah, carrier. Upper KC. Yeah, the Youpers. Married to a couch that burps and talks to the TV.
He's strong, eh?
No, well, it's not a better accent. It's just a different province.
Oh, yeah, okay. That's good, man. Good.
Oh, no, like Saskatchewan, eh? True, out west, eh?
What?
TV. What's that song from the Youpers? The Killing of the Big Pig.
Oh, I'm gonna see if I can turn the Harris up a little bit. I blew a fuse one time doing this, but it should. 300 watts carrier. Dude, it should just run like this all the time. It's 2 friggin' 1500 Bs. I should be able to do 300 watts carrier. Testing. W2BTK. Hi, guys.
They're already 50 over. What, do you need any more smoke to the wire, eh?
No, they said I was fading before, so I was going to try to turn on the other final and continue to, like, loaf everything, but it's not set up right, so I just run this driver amp a little hotter. That's all.
Yeah, Billy, go back.
Married to a couch that burps and talks to the TV. The last time you took me out was 1963.
Boy, you should have listened to a mama and married some old fart. One with lots of money and trouble with his heart.
That could be any hammer operator.
Hey, Steve.
How you doing, Will?
None that are 60 over in the Adirondacks, though.
60 over. Good God, Steve. Loud.
Who is 60 over?
You. 60 over on the back of the array.
Reference. He meant over 60.
That's me.
Nice.
I didn't have the preamp on.
You're all pegging the meter on the far right of this old tube rig.
Like some of the women I meet on Match.com, your S meter is easy.
You are. I've never seen anything that
could do something
swung the monkey
so
all the way to the right. Pegged.
Wife married her Match.com, buddy.
Yeah, what was that about? Who was saying about Match.com?
I said my ex-wife married her Match.com, buddy. We sold our house in Florida last year, and I went down to close and.
Yeah. So I met my last wife on Match.com, but unfortunately politics got in the way, and as we moved further and further to the left, she decided I was too conservative. Oh well, what are you going to do?
I got too much radio stuff going on to have a girlfriend, man. I'm just too busy. My lifestyle's much too busy to have a girlfriend. I've tried, and it just doesn't work with my schedule. I got so much stuff I want to do. When I get home at night, I got my own routine. I think I'm going to be single for the rest of my life. I don't know.
Not a bad thing.
You're gonna die a rich man.
Dude, I'm in the same boat. You don't need that crap.
I don't want
Hey man, is this better or still crappy?
play with this stuff. That's all I want to do. As geeky as it sounds, I want to build stuff. In my pastime, I just don't want to deal with it.
You got 3
You need to have kids by such and such a date or I'm going to leave you. You know, I want kids, I want marriage, I want this, I want that. Well, I don't. I want Class E transmitters, I want tube transmitters, I want 3CX, 4CX.
Dude, that's funny as hell. Well, if you really, really, really think about it, there's no exclusive benefit for a man in a marriage. There's tons of mutual benefits, and there are exclusive benefits for the woman, but none for the dude. So, really, what are we all doing? Rent, don't buy. W2BTK.
There's exclusive benefits. Don't kid yourself.
Mutual benefits, of course. Of course there are mutual benefits to getting married. Things that benefit you and the person you're marrying. But I can't think of one that would be an exclusive benefit for just me.
I can't go there because I promised myself I'm not falling into that trap.
Taxes.
I figured this all in and I'm now 26, so there you go, 27 this year.
Taxes mutual.
If you're single at 26, you're practically an old maid.
Eh?
Well, Clark has managed to avoid it for his 40-some-odd years.
I've had close encounters of the scariest kind.
And you came out unscathed.
Because I have a lot of friends who have been divorced, and as a result, they've lost like half of everything. It's pretty frightening.
You're doing good.
Clark, someday you're going to get a phone call, and you're going to think it's like a scammer, but it's not going to be. It's going to be like, hey, like, you're my dad. Like, can I come meet you? You know, like, one of those. Like, how do you know you don't have a kid?
Old kid?
If someone called me up and said I was their dad, I'd demand a DNA test. It's possible. God, now I got chills.
Yeah, chances are your old lady probably was inseminated by someone else.
Any better than all 13 words a minute?
Is he a him? Hey,
I'm gonna be lying awake tonight.
Is this thing straightened out?
It sounds great here, VA3 JWO.
Thank you, KB2AM.
Hey, you're
looks right now.
plus 50 over here on the Hammerland HQ 110C receiver.
Cool, thank you. Not much of an antenna here. Running about, well, I don't know, 400 watts or 375. I've got 2 slugs. I don't know which one's right.
Oh, you're all arriving on the proper angle for my loop. Better so than my, I got the supper call. I gotta go.
That's the risk the ARRL doesn't tell you. Once you tune up on AM, dinner hits the table.
He doesn't want to pay that child support.
Yeah, I'll see you later, Will.
See you in a bit there, Brent. You be around later?
Oh yeah, I'm in for the duration.
See you later, Will. Catch you then when you get back. WA1QIX from the kitchen. I'm going to go and jump on the old exercise machine and have some chili for dinner.
Catch you later, guys. VA3 JWO on the Valiente.
Enjoy the back bacon, eh?
Yeah, okay, eh? Yeah, good day to you, eh? And well.
everything will be like being in heaven. It's not. This sucks.
I think of the Hoopers.
Will's a good kid. You just got to get him to take that Wayne Gretzky poster down in his room.
Good Gretzky.
Canadian accents. Have you watched?
I was watching the Bruins last night, eh?
I highly recommend it.
Let's see if that's better. Oh man, now I'm all yellowy into my SDR again. Oh well.
Why is it that you keep moving the pencil?
You know, I took Timmy's advice and I plumbed this thing into a big wooden speaker box instead of the little tin boxes that the ham speakers are in. It was all fine and good except for one thing. You know that when you key up there, Brent, it now sounds like you're in the room with me smacking two metal pipes together.
Smacking two metal pipes together. That's kind of scary. I don't know, Charlie.
It's supposed to sound like he's clanging two metal balls together.
Yeah, the artificial extra BA. That's what Jay used to do. The lowest voice in America.
The cast iron ones.
I don't know how Jay can walk. That was so funny. The lowest voice in America, the Kia Rio.
It's what wheelbarrows are for.
Yeah. Don't ever clean the front of a meter. You get some anti-static stuff. You go cleaning off equipment, and the meters just go swing.
Ooh, that works. I just shoved a piece of Romex into my into the other port of my SDR receive isolation relay. So it switches my receiver to the piece of Romex coming out of the front of my rack. Approximately, I don't know, 15 feet long. And oh boy, that gives me plenty of pickup right here. Oh, that's cool. Maybe I can... Here's what I'll do. I'll have a piece of wire with relays, and I can flip the relays to like have more or less wire. Oh, cool. It's like, yeah, I needed a pickup like this. This is a little too much RF though. I have to shorten this thing. Good experiment. Oh, I'm talking to myself. W2BTK, hi.
Oh, at least you didn't have the RF sample cable running onto your audio rack without a connector.
That's like exactly what I have. Literally a piece of Romex jammed into an SO230.
9.
9.
And just feed that straight into the receiver. Oh yeah, then you could switch that out with a TR relay, I guess, and do that. But you need to pat it down, I'm sure, a lot.
Is that you, Chris? Oh, the band is changing.
Peanut whistle will be the first to go.
Yeah, not much of a peanut whistle, seriously. Now, Billy's coming up. Your signal is dropping down, and, yep, band's going long.
Am I falling apart yet, Brent?
No, you're still 30 over, Charlie. You know, hanging in there. As a matter of fact, it's getting a little better as it stretches out. W1IA.
Good. It'll be good for testing when it breaks.
Oh man, yeah, that's a... I'm sticking the pickup in now. Oh god.
India, Papa,
Charlie whistle? Yeah, who was the breaking station? I heard him too. Brent, I heard 6 something, KB6 question mark.
Oh, Kilo Charlie 6, India Papa Charlie.
Yeah, it's K6 IPC. I think it's Richard. And are you out in Calumet, Michigan? KC2 RGW in New Hampshire.
Yeah, Rich, I heard, didn't we talk the other night? I gotta check the logbook. But we're hearing you. And a little bit light, but maybe the conditions will get a little better. W1IA.
I don't know. I haven't been on 38 from the time. I don't think. That could be wrong. I'm not really sure if I'm going to do a 60 with a call thing, so I didn't see. You guys were in here. I don't remember the right time when you didn't feel good started.
Yeah, okay. Now, I guess it was another gentleman I talked to the other night. So, anyway, I'll stand by. Copy's a little bit light. You got him pretty good, Chris?
It's a little light. He's out on the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. I don't know if he's copying me. My loop's not very high, but I can hear him as long as the I don't get any carriers in the way at all. K6 IPC. This is KC2 RGW. Name is Chris. I don't know if you're copying me.
Yeah, you copy, Rich?
You're going down now here. I'm in Upper Peninsula, Michigan, so I was listening to you and everybody was great.
Yeah, okay, I got a pretty good copy on you. I mean, the signal and noise ratio is a little marginal, but you're about S9. The noise floor is coming up a bit. Anyway, Brent, W1IA, I'm hearing you on the array. But maybe conditions will go a little better in a little bit of time. Over.
Crazy strong.
Hey, Rich, can you copy me? VA3JWO.
You're crazy strong too?
Sorry, is that me you're calling 5 over 9 there? A VA3JWO. Hello, Rich.
20 over 9.
Well, the transfer would be at 15 or 35
Oh, that's cool, Rich. That's cool. What? Why am I? When I first started, I used a Heathkit Cheyenne. And that was a 10-watt transmitter. So good stuff. You're doing just fine for 10 watts, Rich. You're about an S9, about 9 to 10 S units there. So yeah, just wanted to see if you can hear me. I'm over in Madoc, Ontario, east of you. You know, many hours east of you. But I am hearing you back here on my loop. So back to you, W6 IPC VA3JWO. Over.
K6IPC. Yeah, my annual mind is the DX60 is 35 watt carrier and voice looking at peak noise is about 75 on low speeds. The mic I'm using on doesn't have much mic gain, so I'm kind of having to swallow it. But your electric transmission, you were 20 over.
Yeah, okay, good stuff. Well, the 35 watts the carrier's doing just fine. So you got her all bone stock with the controlled carrier modulation scheme. Well, you sound fine. You sound absolutely great for the DX60. I got one too. So anyways, I got to finish my supper here. I just wanted to jump in and get the contact in with you there, Rich. So 73 is all about 3 JWO, just on the Johnson Valley up here. 150 watts of, actually 130 watts of carrier power. 350 triplet of 6146 Bravos in the Valiant here, modulated by a pair of 6146Bs. So that's all for me. VA3 JWO until I finish supper.
Okay, 73, thank you very much for letting me check in and get the report. I've only used the radio once on the 40 meter here is too noisy. I got a call for transmitting literally in the 40 meter band, so until snow melts away.
All right, take care, Rich. We'll talk with you a little later. Maybe the signal will get a little better. 35 watts is amazing at all to hear you from Michigan tonight. W1IA with a big group.
You got an incredible signal.
Why, thank you.
40 over 9.
Who is that?
K2 whiskey.
K2 whiskey?
Yes, sir.
Oh, good evening. It's fixing a lot of K2WW. And I can't understand. I thought we worked before, but I don't see in the logbook. What's it?
Dean, and I'm in Tupper Lake, New York. Just west of Lake Placid, New York. The strongest, Steve.
Oh, thank you. Hi, Dean. Yeah, I just checked you out in your location. We're in southern New Hampshire, a little town of corner of the state, and I was just looking you up. Yeah, you're up off the almost off the back of the array, kind of off the side of it. We're in Derry, New Hampshire, running a homebrew E-rig, but not that it matters. But we're on 73. I think you might be up a KC or so.
You know, I can never figure this. I'm running an Elecraft transmitter, transceiver, and the thing wants to catch everybody down about a KC, so I never know where the hell's going on.
Oh, it doesn't matter that much. You're close enough. Oh, nice to work you. I got you in the logbook here, and yeah, it's a big group, and thank you for the report. It probably won't matter, but let me do one test. I'm going to switch the array. Let's turn it to the northeast. Probably the same or nothing different. Over.
10 dB difference.
No difference?
10 dB. 10 dB difference. 10 down.
Yeah, you get it keys too quickly. The transmitter takes about a quarter second to drop out. Yeah, you're much louder on the northeast pattern. That is crazy, but that's the way it goes. Well, thank you, Dean.
You're covered right at 40 over 9. This S meter is supposedly calibrated with the preamp on, which at 40 over 9. I've never seen it that high, other than Steve's signal, and you're popping up above 40 over 9 on voice speak.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I guess I got capture more of your signal pattern, which actually would probably make sense. The beam width of the array is about 110 degrees, I think. So, but anyway, yeah, 2-element horizontal wire beam. Yeah, Steve puts out a killer signal. So there's a big group in here, so I'll stand by. Thanks, and nice to make your acquaintance.
Beautiful. What's your call again?
Yeah, Whiskey 1, Italy Alpha.
Beautiful, I'll put you in the log. Your name?
Yeah, name is Brent. Brent.
Thank you, Brent. K2WW. Passing the torch.
Yeah, Dean, you're 35 over into New Hampshire. My S meter is tight on this Anon SDR, so 35 over here, and it's KC2RGW, and the name is Chris, and I'm north and west of Brent by just a little bit. I used a 160 meter loop, but you're 35 over KC2RGW, and with that, gents, I'm going to go and settle in for some quality TV time with my wife before she leaves me and takes half of everything. So it's been a pleasure, guys, and I'll catch up to you later. T2RGW.
You are 30 over 9 and trust
We only hear the more distant stations.
Steelers. Don't do the sport.
Good night, Chris. I'll catch you maybe tomorrow. 7-3 W1IA.
Yeah, see you later, Chris.
That is interesting because it's almost got to be backscatter. Sometimes I get confused with the reports when the array is at northeast. That happened the other night, Bill. Talking to Bob. One of the rare conditions where backscatter was louder by almost 15 dB. You know, when, of course, Bob's in Connecticut, and I had the antenna pointed at Europe.
You get those wild conditions sometimes. I'm starting to fade here. I gotta make some dinner, but you know, I'll be lingering around listening and stuff. I'm still doing some tests and weird crap, breaking things, fixing them. I got no audio on my stream right now. Anyway, I'll catch you guys in a little bit, perhaps. I'll be listening. W2BTK.
Meaning we're still going to be chaperoned.
See you later, Bill.
See you later, man. VA3JWO.
So you don't have 50%.
So what's next, Will? Cobble some parts from the Prime Minister.
Yeah, you got that right. And brush up on the knowledge. I got a lot of useful information from him. I got to go over to his place and spend some time with him, though. That's what's really needed. I got to go over and spend some time. I think me and him are going to kind of walk through building some stuff together, so I can to help me understand the science behind what all is going on, of course. And he's got these analog devices that are programmable. And everything's all programmable on them, so I'm going to play around with that too. So there's just so much going on right now. See why I don't have time for a girlfriend. I want to do this stuff. It's just I do what interests me, and I have a lot of fun with it.
No, you know, Dale is an awesome wealth of knowledge. He was talking about those PIC controllers the other night. I was on the phone with him, and I'm just messing around with the Arduino platform. It's all Linux-based stuff, using Python as a translator, you know, compilers and stuff like that. But I'm working on a project now, and I just got the boards in from Johann Holstein's work using this Arduino TC40. All the code's written. This is another one I'm putting together. So I'm waiting on the hot air rework station to do all the surface mount parts, and then once I do that, I can finish the coupler and package it up, and I'll have a 2 kilowatt with a graphic, you know, touch screen. And I'm going to order a 5-inch touch screen for the next project to use with the new boards. So if I get that all ironed out, I'll pass along the information. I'll have plenty of boards that I can pass on to you. And if you want to build one of these things, hey, the knowledge comes, you know, you get Dale to help you and all the guys. Just build it. You got to start somewhere. Probably the power supply. Do the easy parts, and then the RF deck, and then the PDM boards.
Yeah, well, I sent an email to Doug, N9SHU, and, you know, I haven't really responded to him. I haven't really responded to him tonight yet, because we got kind of talking back and forth about me getting a board off him. He's got a board left, an RF board left to populate. But unfortunately, I don't deal with this
send me a check in the mail or send me a postal money order business. I don't know how to do that. I'm a millennial. I am 26 years old. I don't carry checks in my wallet. I don't cut checks for people. I don't send mail by carrier pigeon. So unfortunately, I don't think me and him are going to be able to exchange anything, because I don't believe he has a PayPal account like I do. That's the best way to send money these days internationally, as our Canadian post offices do not allow money transfer internationally on postal money orders. So I can't do a postal money order up here to the United States, and I don't cut checks. I've never carried a checkbook on me. Everything is done electronically now, and unfortunately, I mean, yeah, back in the good old days, if I lived in the good old days, it would have been great. But I don't think I'm going to be able to get anything from them, so I'm going to have to dead bug style the RF amplifier, which I am not opposed to at all, because that's what tube stuff is dead bug style. Actually, that's the bare bones of our electronics we know of back in the 50s and 60s and 70s and before.
These are the good old days.
Without at all. But unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to get anything from N9SHU, because I don't think I'm going to be able to do any sort of money transaction with the guy.
You're overthinking this, Will. I'll act as the intermediary.